uh, that takes two to tango, because as much as we are are looking forward to working with an individual, um, in one or the other, the individual must also be looking forward and willing to work, be be assisted. Yeah, Janet usually refers to it as the trying to carry you. At least also you become lighter, so that it is easy for the person trying to carry you. Yeah, and I must say that I mean, for many of us that are consistent on this call, and I've seen a couple of us that have really been consistent. I just want to reach out and encourage you to um, always make a personal effort. If you realize that um, you're not moving as you'd want to move, and you need any form of can I call it counseling? I guess, and you need any form of counseling, you want to be guided on what can be done, or there's some things that just don't make sense, or there's something that you still want to appreciate and get a deep understanding of. Yeah, that's one of the things I came to appreciate about the nature of business that we do. That sometimes the conversation is not so much outside you, it's within you. And once you make that conversation within you, whatever you're telling yourself, once you make that inside person, that person that talks to you, very confident about what you have to offer, then it becomes difficult. So it becomes easier for that person to express their success outside you. So in other words, the success begins from within us. If what we are telling ourselves and what we have convinced about ourselves about in regards to the business, if what we have in our minds in relation to this business is not positive, it's not clear, guess what? It's still something that you struggle with. Then guess what? You're going to have a difficult time bringing out that success into the open. Yeah. I for one used to really, really have a hard time prejudging people. I would look at someone and straight away in my heart I'd be like, you know what? I don't think this person might be interested, you know? And just by saying that statement, and just by going out and speaking to that person with that background and that kind of mindset, what will eventually happen is that the person will also not be interested. But I realized I had to go through a period of time um, when I had to change that kind of thinking. All right. So for those that are on the call right now, when we go through this personal development um, training, it's really more of a mindset shift of sorts. Mindset shifts. Because if anything is going to happen outside you, if anything is going to happen in your life, um, it begins in your mind. Yeah. Someone once said a building is built thrice. It begins in the mind, then it gets onto the paper, and then finally it is put up. So to start with, if you don't even have the thought, like now this month is coming to an end, if you don't even have the thought of becoming a manager when you're a distributor, or becoming a senior manager when you're a manager, or becoming an executive manager, that's stepping up from senior manager, or becoming a director, stepping up from executive manager. When that thought is not there, it won't come out into reality. And of course, a lot of things come through our minds. Okay, how will I get the 2,000 points? How will I help to become manager so that I can step up to senior manager? Um, where am I going to get the people to get started in the business? You know, but some of these things we have tried as much as possible to guide you and help you make a shift in mindset. Because definitely, if you are talking to some individuals every single day, new individuals, and that's where the real challenge is. Talking to new individuals daily. If you're talking to some new individuals daily and you're doing this consistently, maybe you won't get a yes in the first five people you talk to. Maybe the yes will come in the first two people you talk to, but then you get some no's after that. But the idea is that if you're consistently talking to some two people every single day, and these are new people you're talking to every single day, then eventually people will begin to learn about how you have these products and how they are the solutions you have in your life. And that volume of people will keep on increasing day by day. And from those people, you'll be able to identify distributors who will also begin to do what you're doing. And then you'll help those distributors. And those distributors will probably become like family to you. They'll become like sisters and brothers to you. And then, guess what? You'll eventually get the volume that takes you to executive manager and director. So just just having that mindset properly tuned and changed, it takes someone speaking into your life. All the challenges I found in your life that I had were, were to be resolved through a conversation. Because oftentimes there were mindset issues. There were things that had to do with my way of thinking, which was because I had not experienced the thing that they were telling me to do. You get into business and you don't know, you're not aware that in business people say no. Or if you take no personally, you know. I always talk about a cousin of mine who came, I invited her for a presentation, and she came, sat through the presentation for 5 minutes, and she faked a phone call. And that thought remained with me for years. Every time I would meet her, I'd be like, hey, but this girl, she could have just told me that she didn't want to do the business. But she had to fake the phone call to appear as if she had another meeting, urgent call, so that she could leave the meeting room. But after some years, I realized, you know what? I think it was her choice. It was her loss. It is her that lost. You know, it wasn't me. It was her. So changing the attitude that when someone says no to you, for example, it's not your loss, but rather their loss. That took a lot of talking, and it took a lot of counseling for me to have that actually changed. Yes, I'm trying to see if Jesse is on the line now. I still don't see Jesse in the call. Jesse, if you're on the call, kindly put up your hand so that I can, because I don't know if you're using your name today. All right, I still don't see Jesse on the call. I don't know where the challenge could be, but let me just continue then. So, for some of us that are committed to coming through for training, I want you to appreciate that it takes a mindset change, and in Uganda, there's a lot of talk on mindset change, but it takes an actual mindset change for you to change people's lives. If someone does not see themselves as successful, you have to go through their mind first. You cannot give them success in their hands and they retain it and they remain with it. They have to go through a mindset shift, a change that now convinces them, or that now um, uh, gets them to appreciate uh, that they themselves can be successful. I'll give you another example. It's so when I bought my first car, it wasn't it? It was a very interesting car. It was a Corona Chivina. We call them here in Uganda. But it was second hand, of course. But I remember having to struggle so much with that because if I remember carefully, I remember when I was in maybe I was about how many years? 9 years when my father bought his first car. And I think, that was about the time he was 41, 42, perhaps, thereabouts, or 39, one of those things. So coming into new life as a 20-year-old, it took me a long time to accept that it's possible for me to buy a car before the age of 30, because throughout my life, this was something I thought was huge and almost impossible to be done at a certain age, you know. So even when I had built the business and had become a wealthy member in 1.5 years, and I could afford to pay for a 5 million shillings car, it took me some time to accept that uh, that car could actually belong to me. You know, it's just like the way when I came into the business and I thought, say 500,000 was a lot of money, and then it took me another whole mindset shift to appreciate and realize that, you know what, this 500,000 is what some people use to buy their car tires, and therefore I need to think about an income that could probably be bigger than 500,000. But you see, for me, 500,000 was like a dream, you know. So it took a mindset shift. I had to remove that cap. I had to remove that ice. For me now, that cap, oh, that cap I had put on myself, that limitation I had put on myself, it's not something that you remove like the way you shift things. It's a counseling session you go through. You know, it's a counseling session you go through, and every time you come around for these trainings, I don't know if I'm using the right word, counseling, but every time you come around for these trainings, you actually are getting some form of counseling. You're changing that belief system for the better. You know, people change people's belief systems sometimes for the worse, but in the new life environment, as a number one personal development company, you're changing that belief system for the better. You are you're being put into uh, an environment. You're being put into a situation where you are able to create and you're able to have new things come into reality through some form of mindset shift. You know, it's like the time I started the opportunity. I remember that lady from Nigeria, Kelechi, talked about tithing. You know, the Muslims call it zakat. And that's something that didn't cross my mind at all. So I actually understand people who are out there and they don't believe in tithing, or they don't think zakat is something of importance. I really empathize with them, because people um, have to go through a mindset shift to come to appreciate that, you know what, spiritual things like, say, tithing and putting off time to pray for your business are actually things that uh, contribute to your growth generally as a human being, you know. But the empathy I have is that when someone has not gone through that mindset shift, they have not had that experience, they're not going to appreciate it. Yeah. So for those that are on the call this morning, my encouragement is really to um, encourage you to continue being part of the trainings. It will pay off. Yeah. And as I've seen just on the call, I'm going to finish off with this. When I started, that gentleman, the brother to Charles, uh, Mayanja, who spoke to us yesterday, told us that the amount of money you're going to make in your life will depend on the level of personal development, personal growth you have attained, which basically meant that if you want to make 50 million shillings, your level of leadership, personal development must be at the level of 50 million shillings. If by chance you make that 50 million shillings, but your personal development can only allow you to make 5 million shillings, that 50 million shillings will come back to 5. Yeah. So as you grow in life, your assets, your wealth, your leadership, your friends, many of the successes you have are as a result of the level of personal development you've attained. For you to be able to maintain that level of personal development, you must have acquired. Uh, for you to be able to attain that success, you must have acquired that personal development. Yeah. So Jesse, you're very welcome. Sorry you had issues with your machine, but I think you can now take it up from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you for standing in there. Good morning, team. My apologies for the delay. I still don't know what has happened to my access to Zoom through my laptop, because it's the one which has the presentation. So I just had to find a quick way to still get into the meeting using another device altogether. But yes, we'll pick it up from where Andrew has left it off, to say that you cannot, in other words, your business cannot outgrow you. And I think that's what he was saying about your level of personal development and your ability to grow your business, because your business will only grow to the degree to which you grow. And when you think about it, a lot comes down to our mindset. Okay, so we have been talking about developing a winning attitude, and I think we had covered 6 of them. We had talked about an attitude of continuous learning. We had looked at cultivating an attitude of optimism. We talked about flip switching negative beliefs with empowering ones. Then number 4, we looked at associating with supportive and positive-minded people. Number 5, we talked about uplifting your mind with positive information. And lastly, we talked about developing an attitude of resilience, having the ability to bounce back and move on and move forward. Very important things there. Okay, so number 7 is taking action. Taking action. We are talking about cultivating a winning attitude. And yes, it's one thing to come for, all these trainings and everything, but I will tell you, nothing will motivate you like your own success. The one thing that really motivates you is the actions you take. Because when you get all this information, you get all this motivation, you have all this support around you. Now, what will unlock it for you is just taking a step of faith, and you take that action. Because when you make those calls and people come through for the appointment, that creates a level of believability within you. So nothing motivates like your own success. It is the action that you take that builds confidence. Okay, I remember I started the business, and for about the first 4 or 5 months, I was really in the business. Nothing much was happening apart from showing up in training. But I was not taking the action out there. I was not talking to new people. I was not meeting people. And it is when I started taking that action, it's when I got those 5 people started personally, that I began to believe in myself in a way that I had never done. So it is my action that cured my fear and built my confidence. So when you begin to take action and you begin to see the results, now you develop a certain state of mind that makes you realize that if I can do this, I can achieve what is yet to come. So that's why I'm saying a very important step in building a winning attitude is to take action. It's one thing to do all the things we have talked about, but then if you don't get into the action habit, if you don't step out of that comfort zone and just ask yourself, how can I take more action? How can I expose this to more people? Because when you do that, then it builds confidence. In fact, many times action builds momentum. When you begin to take action and you get results, you begin to get this belief that it's possible. And when that belief begins to build up, that is how you begin to, move forward much even faster. So take action, because action unlocks results, it unlocks confidence, it cures your fears, and it helps you to begin to move forward. So let us take action. All right, moving on to number 8. The 8th thing that I want to share here is embrace challenges as growth opportunities. Okay, so in other words, there will be challenges, no question about it. But we are saying, how do you cultivate a winning attitude? We are saying, yes, when you find those challenges, whatever it is that you find, and there are really many in our business, it's a business of overcoming them. Look at them as growth opportunities. And what I mean here is, if you go through some temporary, maybe defeats or challenges, a big challenge that we have is people saying no, people not being positive towards the concept, people not expressing positive belief about what we are doing. I want you to always have at the back of your mind that you see those challenges as learning opportunities. So many times when something like that happens, maybe you need to sit down and ask yourself, okay, what could I have done better? I think that is a question that we should all, whenever you do a one-on-one, whenever you do a presentation, I mean, even right now, as I think about it, maybe what I could have done better is trying to log in earlier. Maybe I could have sorted some of those technical difficulties by logging in earlier. Now, the whole point about this is that then it helps you to get better, So whenever you do a one-on-one, ask yourself, what could I have done better? Because no matter how well you do something, there is a way it can be done better. Okay, maybe then you ask yourself, how could I have closed better? Right? So constantly asking yourself, how can I do this better? That way, you embrace challenges as growth opportunities. In other words, you don't get sucked up into the challenge, but then you see the opportunity for growth. So failure is not a part of success. Failure is part of success, not the opposite of it. It is part of it. That by the time you achieve this level of success, and by the way, the people who achieve the most are the people who even get more no's, more rejections. So you just have to look at them not as the opposite, but it is a part of success. It is a part of success. So see challenge not as failure, but as a learning opportunity. Turn them into an opportunity for learning. So whatever challenge you go through, rather than, focus a lot on it and how it is not nice and, all these things that you could have talked about, what about you just pause and ask yourself, okay, what can I learn from this? How can it make me better? Okay. In other words, can you count the lesson and not the loss? Count lessons, not losses. That way, you will move forward faster. Okay, you will move forward faster. I remember when I was a manager, I was becoming a senior manager. There was an instance where, so then we used to do everything at the shop. I wasn't really looking at the printout. Then we didn't have a back office. Okay. So I just put in the work and I kept working. And for me, in my system, I was counting the PV. I thought I had crossed 1,000 points. So indeed, I even went with my upline. We celebrated. Then the following month, like on day 2 or day 3, my upline called me and said, Jess, I still see Jesse Ainebiona M, which means manager. And by then the new month had begun. I mean, there's nothing much you could do. So I remembered, you're thinking about all this effort you have put in and how it has not yielded the result that you wanted. And he could tell that I was really disappointed. Now, I really don't know what really happened. Maybe some of the points I was probably thinking went through, did not go through. So, and that's fine. But I remember he told me, just go home. And if you want to cry about it, it's okay. But tomorrow, let's get together and we work for this month. Because by then, I couldn't do anything about it. So I went. Following day, I came back and I told him, this is the month. And what was interesting was, while I had really worked so hard the previous month and I thought I had made it way into even month end, this new month, with this new attitude, within 3 weeks, I had made 1,000 points. I was qualified like 1 week before the end of the month. So it is that ability to look at a challenge and say, okay, fine, this has not worked, but I am going to make this work and I'm going to do it because I am now better, I'm now wiser, I'm now much more informed than I was before. So embrace challenges as opportunities for growth because nothing grows us like the challenges we go through. I had a quote there, and maybe next time I'll show you all these images. If it doesn't challenge you, if something does not challenge you, it doesn't change you. Okay? In other words, if you are not challenged, and that's one of the things I really love about this business, that it challenges you. It challenges you. I mean, the fact that you have to work towards qualification every single month, you cannot get settled in the comfort zone. it challenges you. If something does not challenge you, it does not change you. Another way I could put it is, if something does not stretch you, it does not grow you. Okay, so stretch yourself. Sometimes you're going to be stretched really out of the comfort zone, but that's okay. That's okay. It is how we grow. Growth is always in the uncomfort zone. It is in the discomfort zone. It's uncomfortable. As long as you're comfortable, you're not growing. As long as you're okay, you're not growing. It is like children. We have a little baby making 11 months next month. Now, whenever he's going through a growth spurt, whenever he is experiencing a moment of growth, he is very uncomfortable. Sometimes he gets a fever. And then the next thing you know, he's able to sit. Or the next thing you know, he's growing teeth. Whenever there is a major sign of growth, it is preceded by a season of discomfort. So in the same way, if you're going to grow in the business, it's going to be tough. It's going to challenge you. But it's through the tough times and the challenging moments that we grow. Okay. All right, I see our time is spent. The last one that I have here is develop an attitude of whatever it takes. Okay, develop an attitude of whatever it takes. Now, this attitude, and here I had a video that, we'll maybe just watch that before we get into next times. And there's no better way to bring it out than just watching what happened in that video, because what happened in that video was it was a race, and there were 3 athletes, okay? And they were coming into the final lap of this race. Now, there are 2 Kenyans in front and a Ugandan behind, okay? No harm at all to the Kenyans, but it was just a good video to watch. And what happens normally in these kinds of races is they support one another. And you can see that the 2 Kenyans at the front were really giving each other motivation and energy as they sprinted to the final lap. But then the 3rd person, who could have chosen to be comfortable with bronze, decided, you know what? I did not come here for bronze. I did not come here for silver. I came to win the 1st place medal. And he pushed his way all the way to the finishing line. And he crossed the finishing line by just a fraction of a second. He won the race by a fraction of a second. And why I think about that is very important for us is because today is 30th January, sorry. Now, we have this attitude of maybe next month. Okay, now this guy is not saying maybe I will come back another time. No, he is saying this is all I have. He is saying I have not come for anything less than getting the 1st place finish. So he pushes his way all the way to the finishing line because of that attitude of whatever it takes. So it is something that we need to cultivate. And when you think about winners in all kinds of fields, be it politics, be it business, be it education, anywhere, they have this mindset of whatever it takes. No matter what it takes, I have to do this. No matter the matter, I have to do this. We cannot become winners without that kind of attitude, because sometimes you'll be tested, and you just have to push your way. You have to push your way. I remember last month, Joseph Omot is running for a certain incentive, and he had to qualify. He just had to qualify last month. So it got to the second day of month, and he still had this volume, and he just wasn't going to settle because he knew that I have to do this, because if I don't, it won't happen. And at the end of the month, he told me, you know what, I am even mentally tired. And I told him, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. So you have to have this attitude of whatever it takes, I will do whatever I have to do to bring home the medal. So that is a winning attitude. A winning attitude does not settle and say, I will try this another time. I will try this again. I will do something. No, it says it's not over until it is over. Whatever it takes, I will do it. Awesome. So the last quote here was that an attitude of whatever it takes is impossible to stop. An attitude of whatever it takes is impossible. If someone has that attitude, they become unstoppable. So I hope that as we go through the month, as we finish the month, as we get into month end, as we go through the year, have that attitude of whatever it takes. Tell yourself, enough is enough of missing World Team vacations. Enough is enough. I am tired of this, and this is not going to happen again. And the more serious you are about it, guess what? you begin to cultivate that frame of mind that will show you the opportunities and possibilities to make it happen. Awesome. So those are 3 pointers for the day. We've talked about taking action. We've talked about embracing challenges as growth opportunities. And then we've talked about developing an attitude of whatever it takes. So let's go and develop that winning attitude, because if it is to be, it is up to us. And it begins with the way we think. So thank you so much, Andrew, for standing in. And thank you so much for being on the call. Let's go and develop